I welcome again to the continuation of the series of lectures on civil procedure. Our topic for today is demurrer to evidence. So what is demurrer to evidence? Demurrer to evidence is uh, it is as if you are surrendering to the evidence which is presented by the plaintiff. You must remember that you will only have the option to file a demurrer to evidence after the plaintiff has already rested his case. So meaning after the presentation of all his witnesses, after the plaintiff has already formally offered his documentary and object exhibits, and the court has already made a ruling admitting the plaintiff's evidence. So once the plaintiff has rested its case, the defendant will now have the option to assess the evidence which was presented by the plaintiff and guided by the standard of evidence that is required in civil cases, as well as the elements of the cause of action, which is needed to be established by the plaintiff. Okay, if upon the assessment of the defendant, the plaintiff has not presented sufficient evidence to prove his cause of action, then the plaintiff can file a demurrer to evidence. Okay, so Section 1 states that after the plaintiff has completed the presentation of his evidence, the defendant may move for dismissal on the ground that upon the facts and the law, the plaintiff has shown no right to relief. If his motion is denied, he shall have the right to present evidence. If the motion is granted, but on appeal the order of dismissal is reversed, he shall be deemed to have waived the right to present evidence. So you must remember that there are two outcomes. Once a demurrer to evidence is presented to the court, okay, the court may either grant the demurrer to evidence. When you say grant of the demurrer to evidence, it means that the court agrees with the position of the defendant that the plaintiff has not presented sufficient evidence to prove his cause of action. Okay? When the demurrer to evidence is granted, the case will be dismissed. Okay? On the other hand, if the demurrer to evidence is denied, okay, the defendant will now have the right to present evidence. When a demurrer to evidence is denied, it is the position of the court that upon assessment of the evidence which was presented by the plaintiff, okay, the court is of the view that the plaintiff has presented sufficient evidence to prove his cause of action. Okay? And therefore, standing as it is, okay, and without evidence being presented by the defendant, the plaintiff will be entitled to a judgment in its favor. Okay? So you must remember that when a demurrer to evidence is denied, okay, the case will continue. It is an interlocutory order. Okay? Therefore, it is not subject to appeal. It may only be questioned, the denial of a demurrer to evidence may only be questioned through a petition for certiorari under Rule 65, meaning the judge has committed grave abuse of discretion. Okay? A demurrer to evidence shall be subject to the provisions of Rule 50. The order denying the demurrer to evidence shall not be subject of an appeal or a petition for certiorari, prohibition, or mandamus before judgment. A demurrer to evidence is a motion to dismiss on the ground of insufficiency of evidence. It is a remedy which is available to the defendant if the evidence adduced by the plaintiff is insufficient to make out the case. So it is actually a motion to dismiss which is filed at the time when the plaintiff has already rested his case. Okay, that based on the evidence which was presented by the plaintiff, both testimonial and documentary, this cause of action was not sufficiently established under the required standard of evidence. The question that has to be resolved by the court when a demurrer to evidence is filed is whether the plaintiff, by his evidence in chief, has been able to establish a prima facie case. Its purpose is to expeditiously terminate the case without need of defendant's evidence. You must remember that in the demurrer to evidence in civil cases, leave of court is not required. Okay, unlike in criminal cases wherein the approval of the court is needed before you can file a demurrer to evidence, in civil cases, leave of court is not required. After the plaintiff has rested, okay, the defendant may file a demurrer to evidence. Okay, we have the case of Coronel versus Quesada. So in this case, Coronel filed a complaint for annulment of deeds and cancellation of title against Quesada. Now, after Coronel formally offered their evidence, Quesada filed a motion to dismiss on a demurrer to evidence, contending that they failed to prove their cause of action, which the court granted. So resulting to the dismissal of the case. So again, the Supreme Court defined demurrer to evidence as an objection or exception by one of the parties in an action at law to the effect that the evidence which his adversary produced is insufficient in point of law to make out his case or sustain the issue. So in this case, the Supreme Court said that forgery cannot be presumed and must be proved by positive and convincing evidence. The burden of proof lies on the party alleging the forgery. A comparison of both the differences and similarities in the signature should have been made to satisfy the demands of evidence. The court cannot accept the claim of forgery when there is no comparison of the signatures at the trial. So the spouses Coronel failed to prove their allegation and simply relied on reputation and the apparent differences of the signatures. They were unable to establish that the signatures on the documents were not their signatures since there has never been an accurate examination of the questioned signatures as against samples of signatures executed at the closest possible time. The court finds that the spouses were unable to clearly establish the forgery, Quesada's actual knowledge of defect in the Los Reyes title, and their actual continuous and peaceful possession of the property. You must remember that the plaintiff has the burden of proving the allegations in the complaint. So if the allegations in the complaint states that forgery has been committed, it is the burden of the plaintiff to establish forgery by positive and convincing evidence. And if the plaintiff has not discharged the said burden, then the defendant can move for a demurrer to evidence, and if the court finds that indeed forgery was not established, then the plaintiff is not entitled to the relief prayed for, and therefore the case will be dismissed. Spouses Mangaron versus Hannah Villa Design. This is the case for damages filed by Mangaron against Hannah Villa. Petitioners, the Mangarons, invoke the respondent's vicarious liability for the negligent driving of a truck which bumped and dragged their vehicle. Now, after the petitioners rested their case, respondents filed a motion for the murder to evidence. The RTC denied the motion. However, the CA reversed the ruling of the RTC. The case of spouses Mangaron deals with the effect of a denial of a murder to evidence, which later on was reversed by the RTC. You must remember that when a murder to evidence is denied, the case continues. Okay? However, if, for example, it is question, the denial of the murder to evidence is question. Okay, on the ground that the trial court committed grave abuse of discretion amounting to lack or excess of jurisdiction, and it is elevated to the CA on a petition for certiorari under Rule 65. And the CA found that the demurrer to evidence is with merit and therefore should be granted. And it is now, it reverses the decision of the trial court. Okay, so will it be again reverted back to the trial court for the purpose of receiving the evidence of the defendant? The answer is no. Okay, if it is reversed, if the denial of the demurrer to evidence is reversed by the appellate court, then the defendant is deemed to have waived the presentation of its evidence and submits the case for decision on the merits. So if it is granted by the appellate court, the case will be dismissed. Okay. An order denying the murder to evidence is an interlocutory order, for it does not completely dispose of a case. As an interlocutory order, the remedy of an appeal is excluded. A party may file a certiorari petition under Rule 65, alleging that the denial is tainted with grave abuse of discretion. The murder to evidence, the court agrees with the Court of Appeals in finding that the denial of the demurrer to evidence was tainted with grave abuse of discretion. The CA found that the RTC failed to consider the application of the registered owner rule. The registered owner of a vehicle is directly and primarily responsible for the consequences of its operation, regardless of who the actual vehicle owner might be. So in this case, Hanabiya is not the registered owner of the vehicle. That is why Hanabiya filed a demurrer to evidence. However, it was denied by the trial court. When it was elevated to the CA reversed the denial of the demurrer, saying that it should have been granted because of the registered owner. We have the case of Goyu versus Yu. So in this case, the petitioner filed a petition for the declaration of nullity of his marriage. Now, after the petitioner has rested his case, the respondent filed a demurrer to evidence claiming that the petitioner's narcissistic personality disorder was not supported by clear and convincing evidence. Now, the RTC denied the demurrer to evidence, holding that the petitioner has adduced substantial evidence to show the disorder. Now, the respondent filed a certiorari petition under Rule 65, questioning the order of the RTC denying the demurrer to evidence. In passing upon the sufficiency of the evidence raised, the court is merely required to ascertain whether there is competent proof to sustain the indictment or to support a verdict of guilt. The grant or denial of a demurrer to evidence is left to the sound discretion of the trial court. You must remember that an order Denying a demurrer to evidence is interlocutory. Why? Because it does not dispose completely of the case. When the demurrer to evidence is denied, the case will continue. Okay? The defendant will have the right to present evidence. It is not subject to appeal, but it can be the subject of a petition for certiorari under Rule 65. This case presents one such exception, warranting the resort to the remedy of certiorari. The trial court, having committed grave abuse of discretion, amounting to lack or excess of jurisdiction in denying the petitioner's demurrer to evidence. However, the court agrees with the CA that the RTC committed grave abuse of discretion in denying demurrer to evidence because the petitioner was unable to present sufficient evidence to show that she has a right to the relief that she seeks. So again, the only remedy for a denial of a demurrer to evidence being an interlocutory order is to file a petition for certiorari under Rule 65. Okay, meaning that the denial of the demurrer is tainted with grave abuse of discretion. But once the denial is reversed on appeal, the Court of Appeals will proceed to decide the case on the merits, to decide the demurrer on the merits, okay, and that the defendant is deemed to have waived his right to present evidence. So in this case, the psychological report is wanting in material facts to support the expert opinion of the psychiatrist that one of the parties is suffering from narcissistic personality disorder. Okay, we now move to the case of Zambales versus Zambales. Petitioner Joaquina and the surviving children of Enrique. The sole heir died intestate and is the registered owner of a parcel of land. Okay, the plaintiffs filed this case to cancel the document denominated as extrajudicial settlement with waiver of rights and sale. However, there was no formal offer of exhibits because of the certification issued by the Registry of Deeds to the effect that the extrajudicial settlement cannot be located from available records in the registry. Now, Salvacion filed a motion to dismiss on demurrer to evidence, which the RTC granted. Okay, so the petitioners did not offer the document nor the title sought to be cancelled during trial. It noted that during the hearing, the counsel for petitioners categorically manifested that they were not offering any exhibits. The records show that apart from the fact that extrajudicial settlement with sale sought to be annulled were not offered in evidence, the extrajudicial settlement itself alluded to in the testimonial evidence was not offered in order to allow the trial court to determine the veracity of the claims of the witnesses. So in this case, the records show that apart from the fact that the extrajudicial settlement with sale were not offered in evidence, the extrajudicial settlement was not offered in evidence. So the court sustained the grant of the demurrer to evidence because the main document which was relied upon by the plaintiff was not formally offered in evidence and submitted to the court. Okay, Republic versus Deborah. So this case originated from a complaint filed by the Republic for accounting reconveyance with damages. So after the state has rested, Deborah filed his demurrer to evidence which was granted by the Sandigan Bayan. So the issue is whether material allegations in the complaint were amply supported by the evidence. This being so, where the resolution of a question requires an examination of the evidence, the credibility of the witnesses, the existence and the relevance of surrounding circumstances, and the probability of specific situations, the same involves a question. And you must also remember that in a demurrer to evidence, it is premature to speak of preponderance of evidence because it is filed prior to the defendant's presentation of evidence. It is precisely the office of a demurrer to evidence to expeditiously terminate the case without need of the defendant's evidence. What is crucial is the determination as to whether the plaintiff's evidence entitles it to the relief. So for example, in a case involving fraud, okay, if the allegations of the plaintiff relied on fraud as basis for his cause of action, fraud requires clear and convincing evidence. So, if the plaintiff was not able to establish the means by which the fraud was committed by clear and convincing evidence, okay, to shortcut the trial, okay, the defendant can file a demurrer to evidence. Okay, there is no preponderance of evidence at the time when the demurrer is filed. Why? Because when you speak of preponderance of evidence, it means that both sides have already presented their respective evidences. Okay, but when you file a demurrer to evidence, it is only the plaintiff that has terminated the presentation of his evidence. So you assess the evidence presented by the plaintiff if he has met the required standard of proof and if he has established his cause of action. Okay, if not, then you can expeditiously terminate the trial by filing a demurrer to evidence. So in the case of Deborah, nothing in the testimony of Verano points or even alludes to the conclusion that Deborah acted as a dummy or conduit of Velasco in receiving address commissions from vessel owners. So the court joins with the SC's observation pertaining to Verano's want of knowledge with respect to the contents of the envelopes delivered to the respondent. So the Supreme Court sustained the grant of the demurrer to evidence by the Sandigan Bayan that the evidence presented by the Republic is not sufficient, okay, to warrant the grant of the relief. Okay, Condes versus Court of Appeals. So petitioner spouses Condes filed a complaint for annulment of deed of sale. According to Condes, they are the registered owners of a parcels of land which they remortgage the property to a certain listura through Jover. Now, Jover was made to sign a deed of sale instead of a mortgage contract. Now, after the petitioner has rested his case, the respondent filed a demurrer to evidence on the ground that the petitioners had not proven their claim by preponderance of evidence. He contended that the petitioners' evidence contradict their claims, considering that the deed of definite sale, which they claimed as a forgery, was not the one used to transfer the certificate of title. He pointed out that the certificate of title was cancelled by virtue of a deed of sale executed by Jover. Hence, even if the said deed of definite sale is declared as void, it would not affect the transfer of title to his name. Okay. So the RTC issued an order denying the demurrer to evidence. So considering that it is a denial, it is an interlocutory order. Now, the respondent filed a certiorari petition with the CA. Generally, interlocutory orders are not appealable nor subject to certiorari proceedings. Though interlocutory in character, an order denying a demurrer to evidence may be the subject of a certiorari proceeding provided that there is grave abuse of discretion. A writ of certiorari may be issued only for correction of errors of jurisdiction or grave abuse of discretion, not errors of judgment. When the issue in question involves or affects the wisdom of the legal soundness of the decision, not the jurisdiction of the court, the same is beyond the province of a petition for certiorari. In the absence of controversing evidence, there are claims which could be supported by the evidence presented by the plaintiff. Petitioners misunderstood the essence of a demurrer to evidence and the meaning of preponderance of evidence. A demurrer is a motion to dismiss on the ground of insufficiency of evidence. It is an objection by one of the parties to the effect that the evidence which his adversary produced is insufficient to make out a case or sustain the issue. The purpose of a demurrer is to expeditiously terminate the case without need of defendant's evidence. It authorizes a judgment on the merits without the defendant having to submit evidence on his part. If it is shown by plaintiff's evidence that he is not entitled to the relief prayed for. A demurrer to evidence is likewise sustainable when admitting every proven fact favorable to the plaintiff and indulging in his favor all conclusions fairly and reasonably inferable, the plaintiff has failed to make out one or more of the material elements in the case. It should be sustained where the plaintiff's evidence is prima facie insufficient for recovery. The petitioner's evidence, testimonial and documentary, sufficiently proved the essential averments of the complaint. That is, their attorney, in fact, was made to sign the deed of sale when what was actually agreed upon was only a mortgage. So petitioner Condes testified that the deed of sale which he obtained was the deed of definite sale. This testimony taken with the testimony of Colbert that she did not execute any other deeds of sale except the one was more than enough to prove that the transfer of title was questionable. So the denial of the demurrer to evidence was sustained by the CA. We have the case of Republic versus Jimenez. So in this case, the PCGG filed a complaint for reconveyance and damages against the Jimenez spouses before the Sandigan Bayan to recover ill-gotten wealth. Now, due to the failure to timely offer a formal offer of evidence, Jimenez filed a motion to dismiss on demurrer to evidence on the ground that the Republic showed no right to relief as there was no evidence to support its cause of action. So the motion to dismiss on demurrer to evidence was granted. Now the Republic filed its petition for review on certiorari before this court. Now the issue is whether the Sandigan Bayan erred in holding that the Republic waived the filing of its formal offer and in granting Jimenez's motion to dismiss on demurrer to evidence. So remember, the issue in this case is the Republic failed to seasonably file their formal offer of evidence. Okay, and on that basis, the Jimenez filed a motion to dismiss on the ground of demurrer to evidence. Okay. A demurrer to evidence is sustainable when admitting every proven fact. The plaintiff was paid to make one or more of the material allegations in his case. What should be resolved in a motion to dismiss based on the matter is whether the plaintiff is entitled to the relief prayed for. Even assuming that the Sandigan Bayan denied petitioner's formal offer, petitioners still have testimonial evidence. Whether petitioner's evidence is sufficient to entitle it to the relief prayed for, petitioner is required to establish preponderance of evidence. It is better to admit and consider evidence for determination of its probative value rather than outrightly reject it based on rigid and technical grounds. So in case of doubt, court should proceed with caution in granting a motion to dismiss based on the matter to evidence. An order granting the matter to evidence is a judgment on the merits. It completely disposes of the case. Okay. This is because while a demurrer is an aid for the expeditious termination of an action, it specifically pertains to the merits of the case. So if an order granting a demurrer to evidence disposes of the entire case, and you can elevate it to the CA on appeal. The order of dismissal must be clearly supported by facts and law, since an order granting the matter is a judgment on the merits. It is imperative that it be a reasoned decision, clearly and distinctly stating therein the facts and the law on which it is based. To erroneously grant a dismissal simply based on the delay to formally offer documentary evidence essentially deprives one party of due process. Again, what is the effect of grant or denial of a demurrer to evidence? When a demurrer to evidence is granted, the case shall be dismissed, and it shall have the effect of a judgment on the merits. You can invoke it as res judicata. Okay? It can be elevated by an ordinary appeal to the CA. Okay? However, when the demurrer is granted by the trial court, but the dismissal was reversed on appeal, the presentation of defense evidence is deemed waived, and the appellate court shall proceed to resolve the case on the merits. When the demurrer to evidence is denied, defendant shall have the right to present evidence. So the case will continue. The order denying a demurrer to evidence shall not be subject to appeal or a petition for certiorari except when there is grave abuse of discretion. Leave of court is not required for demurrer to evidence in civil cases, because in criminal cases you're required to seek the approval of the court before filing a demurrer to evidence. The order granting demurrer to evidence again is applicable. The court cannot motu proprio, dismiss a case and make a demurrer to evidence. Demurrer to evidence shall be subject to the provisions on motions under Rule 50. So that is all for demurrer to evidence. Thank you for listening.